You are listening to the SDSU podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your host, Andre Hagverdian. Welcome, listeners, back to the SDSU podcast. This is episode 151, and I'm your host, Andre Hagverdian, joined as always by Bryant Thursby. What's going on, Bryant?
We're doing good. It's been a good day today. Hopefully, some good things to come this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, at least for the last couple episodes, we've been starting with a recap of the prior game. We don't have to relive the Washington State loss since we did that last episode already. So we can move on to previewing the upcoming matchup against California Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium. 7:30 p.m. kickoff on CBS Sports Network. If you won't be at the game, we should start off by mentioning we might have a pretty good attendance for this one, given two factors. One, the school has kind of done a marketing effort in the last week or so to up ticket sales and to up ticket generated, right? Or I guess the word is passed out. Sean Lewis did his rounds around some classrooms last week, handing out tickets. Some of the coaching staff went in the community. I believe, season ticket members got two extra free tickets to this game. And then today they did a flash sale for $15 tickets. So they're trying to drum up interest. At least from a to kind of combat the ticket prices are too high, which no one's going to deny that. We're not even going to attempt to deny that because they are high. And then the honoring the 2015 championship team with Rocky Long and Donald Pumphrey and those guys who are going to be honored at I believe at halftime. So just in that sense, especially with the marketing effort, what do you think? Do you think it's going to work? Do you think there's going to be 30,000 people at Snapdragon Stadium on Saturday?
I don't know about 30,000, but you're definitely going to get a good crowd. I
Yeah.
definitely think it's taken a little while. This is long overdue, in my opinion, of lowering ticket prices, giving a flash sale. We've always seen Sean Lewis and and his coaching staff kind of, going on campus, going out to the community, like that's one of the good things I love about this coaching staff and what Sean Lewis has done here on the Mesa is he's really trying hard to get the community involved in showing how much he cares for San Diego and how much he cares for the community. Um, so I think doing the $15 flash sale for tickets and everything, that's huge. That's definitely going to boost ticket sales, definitely going to boost the attendance number this upcoming weekend. And I think it's something that San Diego State can continue doing throughout the rest of the season. Just trying to just gain people, just gain popularity. A team that, it's not expected to win a lot of games. Their, expectations for at least from us is, they make a bowl game, at least our expectation. Other fans have different types of expectations for this team. But still a team that, can make a bowl game and, can bring a trophy home at the end of the season. It's not like those upper echelon bowls, those New Year's Eve bowls, the college football playoff, this team's not making that. But being able to bring a bowl game win home, bring a trophy home, could be a huge stepping stone, not only just towards our San Diego State's attendance numbers, but interest in the program as well.
Yeah, I was at Snapdragon last night or Tuesday night for the SDFC versus Tijuana Cholos friendly match, and attendance was just under 30,000. And obviously it's different. It's professional soccer. It's a local team, somewhat, obviously across the border, but still local. So I'm not comparing that, but that's the type of atmosphere that I think San Diego State envisioned when they built Snapdragon for their football games, and they've really not had that for any game through now 3+ years. So this could be the start of it. Obviously, the team has to play and perform as well.
Yeah.
Um, but this could be the start of potential flipping the script in terms of getting people into the seats moving forward. We'll see if they do these flash sales or things like that for other home games. But I think it's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely is a step in the right direction, and the Padres kind of laid the groundwork for how you're supposed to attack San Diego fans and everything in terms of getting interest. The Padres weren't good for so long. And what did they do? Ticket prices were super cheap. And the ballpark at Petco Park, one of the best ballparks in the entire major league, some would say the best. That's my personal opinion. Some would say otherwise. But, just drawing interest and getting people to come to your stadium because Snapdragon's a really nice stadium if you've been to it. Got a really good layout, really good framework, stuff around it, easy to tailgate, stuff like that. And they have activities and everything. And Snapdragon inside the gates, there's areas where you can play some cornhole, play some games. There's areas you can stand and talk to friends, have a drink or just eat your food, stuff like that. So lowering ticket prices, this is definitely a good step in the right direction to draw interest.
Yeah, so playing Cal comes in 3-0. San Diego State obviously 1-1. This is gonna be the 10th meeting between the schools. Each of the prior games, the home team has won, and Cal is 5-4. So San Diego State is going to be looked to even that matchup series, and also continue that every home game has won, every home team has won. So we'll see there. Obviously, you cannot start talking about Cal without talking about their true freshman quarterback, Jaron Kiave Sangapolatelli, or JKS, easier way to handle that one.
JKS.
Yeah. What have you seen from JKS, and what the prospects of San Diego State's defense potentially trying to stop him on Saturday?
Man, this kid JKS, he's a baller. He is an
Yeah.
absolute baller. This kid, he can run a little bit, he doesn't really do it too often, but if he has to use his legs to extend plays, he will. He can run a little bit. He's got a really good deep ball. He's got the feel and the touch that he has at such a young age, and playing, obviously not playing exactly too good of programs yet on their schedule, but playing against D1 competition and doing as well as he is doing right now, six touchdowns, only one interception, only been sacked four times, 67% completion percentage, passer rating 145.6. He he's a baller, and San Diego State's going to have to do a lot defensively, not just stopping the run game that Cal has, because Cal has a really good run game,
Yeah.
but it's going to take a lot defensively in terms of disguising coverages, getting pressure on JKS, and making sure that, if Cal's going to beat San Diego State, they should have to beat San Diego State on the ground. And that's what San Diego State should look to do is force Cal to beat them on the ground and not through the air because JKS will kill you through the air.
Yeah, San Diego State is, I think, bottom 20 in tackles for loss per game at 4 per game. That's going to need to change in this one. Now, whether it's stopping running backs behind the line of scrimmage or the quarterback, as sacks, they're going to have to make disruptive plays to put JKS in second and long, third and long situations, make it harder for them to have to convert third downs, convert first downs, move down the field, because otherwise, if you're going to give him all day to throw, he's gonna pick you apart. And San Diego State's not had success getting to the quarterback rushing four. We've seen a lot of blitzing from Rob Arch, a lot of linebacker blitzes with Latuli and Chambliss. We've seen some DB blitzes. So I'm interested to see what he's got cooked up, blitz packages, because I think in order for them to bring JKS down, it's going to have to be most likely via blitzing than just rushing four and trying to hope to get there, because I don't know if they can.
Absolutely. And I'm curious to see the starting game plan because every single first quarter, everybody knows that every first quarter for every single team, there's scripted plays that you run
Yeah.
both defensively and offensively. What does San Diego State do? Sean Lewis, Rob Arich. What do those two do in response to the adjustments that Cal makes both offensively and defensively to San Diego State's scripted plays and the scripted defense that they're going to run up against Cal because obviously had the bye week last week, San Diego State did. So they had some fine tuning that they needed to do while also being able to scout Cal and be extra prepared while Cal had to play a game last week. So having that extra week of preparation on Cal could bode huge for the Aztecs. But what do Sean Lewis and Rob Arich do in terms of second half adjustments and adjusting on the fly? That's something that we saw against Washington State. That was a little bit of a struggle to adjust on the fly. And when those two did adjust, it was just too late.
Yeah, and Cal hasn't allowed a point in the first quarter in either of their three games. And San Diego State's actually gotten to fast starts, scoring three touchdowns in their two games in the first quarter. So it's going to be interesting what gives there. As you mentioned, San Diego State started well and then kind of hit a lull offensively once those adjustments by the other defenses kicked in. So I think that getting off to a fast start and keeping momentum and keeping that into the second quarter is going to be critical because if you fall behind Cal, you're not going to be able to have to drop back and throw 40 times to beat them because they're too good.
Yeah, Cal's got a great defense. It's going to be something really tough for Jaden Denegal, in my opinion, to kind of handle a little bit because we haven't even talking about their best defender, in my opinion, at least in the DB room.
Yeah.
Uh, Hezekiah Massis. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't think I'm saying that right.
I, Hezekiah sounds right. I'm not sure if it's Masses or Masses or yeah, but yeah.
But three
You know who you're talking
interceptions on the
about.
year,
Yeah.
five pass deflections. This dude's a ball hawk.
Yeah.
This dude is not see ball, get ball, but close to it. He is a ball hawk. He is going to be around the ball no matter what when that ball is in the air, and he'll be in that area and he'll be ready to make a play on it. So if you're Jaden Denegal in this offense, keeping the ball out of harm's way and limiting turnovers, if any, is going to be huge for this offense.
Yeah.
Because we saw against Washington State, defense didn't force many turnovers, if any. I
Yeah.
believe
None.
they didn't force any. And then offense, gotta protect the ball. Cannot let the ball get on the ground. Cannot throw it to other jerseys. Got to throw it to your own jerseys. Protect the ball. Winning the turnover battle in this one could bode huge for the Aztecs.
Yeah, dating back to the last game of last season, San Diego State's played three games in a row where neither team turned the ball over, which is tied for the most longest streak since 1996 by an FBS team. So you want to keep one half of that going, meaning you don't want to turn the ball over, but you have to get turnovers if you want to have a chance to stop JKS and the Cal offense because you know they're going to march down the field. They're going to get their yards. It's what you do with in terms of turnovers and red zone. Force them into field goals when they get in the red zone. I think they've scored 10 touchdowns in 13 red zone drives this year. So you're going to have to limit that if and when they get into the red zone. But yeah, you mentioned Masses. Luke Farelli. It's a homecoming for him from Carlsbad. He's a
Yes.
redshirt freshman. Leads the team in tackles. So you know he's going to be fired up. He's going to have a good amount of people in the crowd for sure. Um, some teams stats for Cal. They've only given up 11 points a game, 82 rush yards per game. So that one's gonna. We'll see what the San Diego State rush offense can do against that. But they missed 14 tackles against Minnesota per PFF. We talked about how San Diego State had tackling issues. They only missed nine against Wazoo. So that might be something with Cal that obviously they're going to focus on in this prep week. But that could be something that San Diego State, a bigger back like Lucky Sutton, hopefully can take advantage of as well. Jordan Napier in the open field. We talked last week about how the screens were not working for San Diego State, and if hopefully they've kind of fixed that or corrected that, and maybe they can get a Napier or a Bostic out in the open field to break some tackles. So I think that one's going to be an interesting matchup to see what gives there in terms of the rush offense versus the rush defense.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be key to watch is tackling for both these defenses. Both these defenses really kind of this year have struggled to tackle a little bit, or against Oregon State, watched a little bit of that game.
Yeah.
For Cal, they struggled a little bit to tackle, but didn't end up mattering. 34-15 blowout win, didn't really matter too much. Obviously against Minnesota, 27-14, two-score win. But when your defense struggles to not tackle, big plays could be happening. Big plays could be going, could lead to a long touchdown, which could be huge for the Aztecs. Lucky Sutton, we talked about how we wanted to see Sean Lewis run the ball a little bit more after establishing it in the first quarter and then going away from it. That's more than likely what it's going to be to start the first quarter. To start this game is seeing a good amount of workload with Lucky Sutton, with Washington, with
Yeah.
Cardwell, with those three backs, seeing a lot of runs from them. And then regarding like screenplays, one thing that offenses like to do whenever they're not able to run the ball effectively is use the short pass game as a part of the run game. That's something that you can do. I feel like there's a little bit more that Sean Lewis can do with his short pass game instead of just running those RPO screens. Do a little bit more shallow crossers, a little bit more shallow series, having an intermediate route, deep route, and then obviously the shallow route concept with it to kind of get Jaden Denegal in a flow. Make the reads easy for him. Don't make it super hard. Make it just easy. Get him in a rhythm. Then once you get him in a rhythm and see what he can do from there.
Yeah, special teams obviously is a big factor too. San Diego State had a big penalty in special teams last week, 2 weeks ago. Um, they did thought they blocked the kick and returned it for a touchdown, which got called back. So I think that's going to be key. And Cal has one of the best kick and punt returners in the country, Jacob DeJesus. And so they're going to have to focus and key on him and not give him opportunities, or else he can break one and take it to the house. So I think the coverage units are going to be on high alert with him because he's really good. And whether you on kickoffs make sure you kick it in the end zone for a touchback, or on punt returns. Sometimes Hunter Green, he's got a strong leg, and you can outkick your coverage and give a return up. So that's something to key in on there as well.
Yeah, a lot of keys here, a lot of things that need to go San Diego State's way to kind of steal a victory against Cal because they're a really good team, really good football team. They showed it against Oregon State. They showed it against Texas Southern, absolutely obliterated lower competition as they should. Facing Minnesota, which Minnesota is no pushover,
Yeah.
no outstanding program, but not a bad program either in the sense. No, not a pushover team at all, and being able to beat Minnesota 27-14 by two scores is something that is definitely eye-opening if you are Sean Lewis watching film and everything. This is a team that San Diego State can beat. The Aztecs do have the talent, they do have the players to take down Cal and have an upset victory, but execution is key offensively, defensively, special teams wise. Execution, execution. That's probably what Sean Lewis has written up on the whiteboard right now.
I was actually surprised to look on the coaches poll and the AP poll and not see Cal even with like a lot of votes, even in the others receiving votes. I think on the coaches poll they got one vote, and the AP poll they weren't even listed, so they got zero. Um, Especially considering the quarterback play, and I agree beating Minnesota, Oregon State, and I think Texas Southern, I think is an FCS team. Um, Obviously is not as impressive on paper, but I thought the Minnesota game would have gotten them some votes. But if they keep winning and they've got the schedule to keep winning as once they get into ACC play, I think you'll probably see them in the top 25 shortly if they keep winning. They're favored by, I believe it's 12 and a half. Started off as 13 and a half. What ultimately do you think it will happen in this game?
Ultimately, I believe Cal will come out of here with a victory.
Yeah.
We'll be 4-0 and then head to Boston College next week 4-0 in a tough environment. If I had to put a final score on it, I would say Cal probably scores 31, San Diego State probably scores 17. I just think that, Rob R's defense, I just don't think is gonna, I don't know if RH is gonna have a good enough game plan to get after the quarterback
Yeah.
and kind of throw him off balance a little bit. And San Diego State is kind of struggled in the run game, especially when the offense is not staying on the field. Which we have seen. So I think the defense is going to be on the field for quite a while, and then it's going to drain them a little bit. And Cal is going to take advantage of that. And San Diego State will probably open up the first quarter, scoring in the first half probably 10 points, and then 7 points in the second half to finish the game, while Cal just keeps battling every single quarter and putting up points.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at a 31-20 score. I believe I do think Cal will likely win this game. Um, as I mentioned, I think that you'll see a lot of blitzing, and I think you got Chris Johnson and Bryce Phillips on the outside. They're going to be playing a lot of man with no safety help because of those blitzes. And I think, obviously they come in very highly regarded, both of them. They're veterans. They're going to have to ball out and cover some of these receivers one on one, and give their blitzers time to get to JKS. And I think that could be the difference in whether we're in the fourth quarter in a one-score game, anybody's game to win, or Cal kind of handily takes this. So we'll see. I think the team will be fired up. Hopefully, the atmosphere will be good. That'll give them a little bit of boost to stay in this game. But it's going to be a tough one for sure. Probably the toughest opponent that San Diego State will play this year. Boise State may be up there, although they've already lost a game. So we'll
Yeah.
have to see how the season plays out. But this could be the toughest game of the season for them.
Absolutely could be the toughest game of the season for San Diego State. And there is that kind of, you know, not knowing factor of we don't know how the team's going to come out, 10-year anniversary of Mountain West Championship team. Rocky Long's going to be there, Christian
Yeah,
Chapman, Donnell Pumphrey, all these guys from the squad, seeing them have a little of a celebration might turn this team up and might,
yeah.
give them a little bit of that extra push, that extra motivation to want to go out there and show out. So there's always that unknown factor when you have games like this. And then there's also the other side of it where they get too caught up in the celebration. And then next thing you know, second quarter starts and Cal's up 17-3.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of the 2015 team, obviously they're being celebrated because they won a conference championship. What, if anything, do you remember from that team, assuming that you were following the team and back then? Um, is there anything that stands out to you about that team 10 years ago?
Tanel Pumphrey and Rashad Penny. I mean,
Yeah.
no, that those two are what stand out to me. And I've been watching San Diego State football my entire life. I've kind of grew up that way. Dad went to San Diego State, so San Diego State's always been a part of my life ever since I was a little kid. So growing up watching these teams, watching Christian Chapman, throw the ball 25, 30 yards accurately, anything above 40 yards, I just hope he doesn't throw it that far. Pretty much of watching him. But watching Donnell Pumphrey and Rashad Penny and I believe was it Nick Bodden on that team at fullback?
And I think it was Dakota Gordon.
Or yeah, just the fullbacks that
Yeah.
not even just the 2015 team had, but just the fullbacks, that just lead block for the Ronnie Hillmans of the world, the Donnell Pumphreys, the Rashad Pennies of the world, coming through San Diego State in this program. That team, I just love watching Donnell Pumphrey run the football because he was just fast. He saw a hole,
Yeah.
he hit the hole, and he was gone. That safety didn't come down and fill the hole, fill the alley. Donnell Pumphrey was gone. You weren't catching him.
Yeah, the two things that stood out to me about that team, they started off the season 1-3 in non-conference, and then didn't lose again the rest of the year, finished 11-3. And it was the margin of victory in some of those games. I mean, they were outscoring teams by 30 plus points. So based mostly on running the ball. And it's interesting, Rashad Penny was a third string that year.
It was a kick return.
Chase Price was the backup. But Rashad Penny was returning kickoffs. He was a special teams player of the year. Um,
I think it was that year that he returned a kickoff return for a touchdown against Arizona State. And,
yeah,
after that, after you watch these kickoff returns from Rashad Penny, as an Aztec fan, you're like, oh, this guy's got juice.
yeah,
This guy's going to be good. And
yeah,
he was, and Chase
yeah,
Price, man.
yeah.
You want to talk about somebody who might have been, costly at a bad system for himself. Chase Price, I think, being in San Diego State system, if he went to another offense that used his skill set a little bit better, I think Chase Price could have done a
Yeah,
little bit more in college because he's a really good receiving back, somebody that was really good in pass pro.
yeah,
Just he just never got used properly, in my opinion, when it came to Chase Price.
yeah. The 2015 team had the offensive player of the year in Pumphrey, the defensive player of the year in DeMonte Casey,
Easy.
and then the special teams player in Penny. And then they came back the next year and all three won it again, the same award. Like that's kind of remarkable to have the same three guys win it 2 years in a row from the same team. And they won the conference championship both years too. So that's, Aztec fans, that's the kind of the glory days they want to get back to. Obviously
Exactly.
winning conference championships and having these star players that get recognized and potentially go on to the NFL. Um, and Demonte Casey, he's still playing in the NFL,
He's still playing in the NFL.
which is why he won't be at the celebration because he's got a game that weekend,
Yeah.
obviously. Um,
What a defense to watch.
yeah, yeah,
Rocky
special a
Long
special
defenses.
team, a special team for sure, and it's going to be really cool to see them celebrated like they deserve. 10 years later, I mean, it doesn't feel like it was 10 years ago, but it was. And, maybe next year they'll celebrate the 2016 team. We'll see. Um, but that team obviously has a lot of the same players from the 2015 team. But yeah, it was a special period of San Diego State football for anyone that was, whether they were an alumni in school at the time, a season ticket holder, or part of the team. I think it was a really good, you know, period for the San Diego State football.
Yeah, those teams just, being a kid, in middle school, going into high school, just watching those teams and everything every single Saturday, coming home from a football game or from a basketball game, whatever it was, and just watching those guys. It was it was a pleasure to watch, watching a defense fly around, get turnovers like crazy. Seemed like every single game, San Diego State had like two turnovers in 2015 and 2016. It just didn't seem like
Yeah,
there was a game where they didn't force a turnover. And just watching Donnell Pumphrey break off runs, Chase Price do a little bit of, chunk plays, and then watching Rashad Penny on kick return, just what a team to watch.
yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. We appreciate you guys for joining. Hopefully, you have your tickets for Saturday night, whether it was, already season ticket member, whether you got it from a friend who's a season ticket member, whether you got $15 tickets with the flash sale. Hope to see everybody out there at Snapdragon on Saturday. As always, if you like this episode, please like and subscribe to the channel. Tell all your friends. And we appreciate you guys for joining in, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Everybody have a good one.
You are listening to the SDSU podcast, presented by the East Village Times, with your host, Andre Hagverdian.